Hello viewers. Today we are going to discuss one of the prescribed poems for degree second year, Once Upon a Time, by Gabriel Okara. The poem you might have discussed in your classrooms by now. Anyway, we are going to discuss the poem in detail. Initially, we try to understand about the poet, and then we'll have an outline of the poem, and then we'll discuss the poem stanza wise. I hope you are ready with your textbooks, and meanwhile I'll be asking you some questions as well. I hope you see this picture. Who is he? Can you identify that picture? Yeah. He is none other than the poet Gabriel Okara, and he is from Nigeria. The moment I say Nigeria, you may have some doubts. Where is it from? And you look at the globe on the screen, and Nigeria is one of the African countries, and you know they had their own culture and their own traditions. And in course of time, we'll be discussing more regarding the Africans and also various influences on the people. And Gabriel Okara, he was born in 1921. And you know very well, and he is a poet who captures the moods and sights of the country and also the feelings of the people. A poet is one who has a lot of sensitivity towards the people, and he also projects the lives and feelings of the people. And poet is one who looks beyond the ordinary people. And Gabriel Okara, he looks at the African culture and also various negative influences on the culture. And in this poem, Once Upon a Time, he discusses various outer influences that are there which have brought in change in the culture. And modern Western culture, though he doesn't mention the word modern Western culture, he speaks about it in an indirect way. Let's move on. And this is the text of the poem. I hope it is difficult for you to read the whole text on the screen, but still you have got your own textbooks. I request all of you to go through the poem as we discuss the poem today. And here are a few questions for you. What is the theme of the poem, Once Upon a Time? And who is the poet talking to? What is the significance of the title? The title seems to be a bit different. Once Upon a Time seems to be like a fairy tale, but we have to be very careful why the title is given and what is the purpose and motive behind the title, and how the influence of adulthood is discussed in the poem. And what is the poem about? There are many themes discussed in the poem. Though I asked some questions, I am giving answers here. How attitudes and people change in course of time. See, people, they change in course of time. For example, at one point of time, they seem to be very shy. For example, in your lesson, first lesson, Shyness My Shield by Gandhi. In his early childhood, he was one of the most what we call a shy young boy, but in course of time has become so bold. So there can be some change in the personality of a person. How people can become false. I hope you understand the word false. Very often, you know what happens? We behave against our own nature. In course of time, maybe children, they do not do in that way, but as we grow older, we tend to act against our own nature. How honest people used to be and how deceitful they are now. And in course of time, you find a change in the personality of the people. So even this particular aspect is discussed in the poem. How adults can learn from innocent children, and it is a type of role reversal. Not only that, we learn from elderly people or seniors, but even from children, sometimes we have to learn many things. Children and childhood, it's almost identified with innocence, whereas adulthood is identified with experience. How adulthood can change you and how quickly people adapt to the changes. You see, as you grow older, you understand the world around you and you try to be worldly wise. Sometimes you act against your own nature, and so there can be a different shades of a person. So we are going to discuss even that in our session. Children, and they look backward and they try to relate themselves in the lives of their children. So sometimes, and now I'll have a few more aspects about the poet. An elderly figure in the poem, he tries to address his own son, and so there are at least two speakers or two persons in the poem. He says he addresses the listener as the son. So we can say it is in between a father and a son. The speaker has a lot of knowledge and also experience of the society, in other words the world. So he looks at the child and also looks at his own self. It's a type of introspection, what we call. It's always very important to introspect and examine one's own self, and that's what we say SWOT analysis. And each stanza presents one important aspect, and we will discuss the whole poem throughout this session. I'll read out the first stanza. Once upon a time, son, they used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes, but now they only laugh with their teeth, while their eyes block cold eyes, search behind my shadow. The poem begins with the most important line, and that has become the title as well. Once upon a time, they used to laugh with their hearts. The poet says once upon a time. The moment you say once upon a time, the poet is taking you backward in the course of time. So the poet is becoming a bit nostalgic, and he's trying to recollect his childhood days, and he's making a contrast between the present times and also the past. So that's why he starts the poem with the phrase once upon a time. And so he's addressing the son. They used to. Anyway, I'm going to discuss these expressions, once upon a time, used to, in our grammar session at the end of this program. And they used to laugh with their hearts. So whenever we use the expression used to, it refers to your past habits and also practices. When you say they used to, it is not so now. So there is a contrast. The poet is trying to bring in a contrast between the present times and also the past. They used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes. I hope you understand the word their hearts and their eyes. See, when you have a smile on your face, it is not on the face, but it is from within. You start laughing from within, and that laughter or that smile is expressed on your face. So, my dear viewers, I would like to express, here the poet is trying to express the warmth in the emotions of the feelings in their past. Whenever a sentence starts with but, there you find some change. See the word but now. The first lines he says, the first one, particularly the second line, they used to. But now, the second expression. So there is a contrast between the first part and the second part in the first stanza. But now they only laugh with their teeth, while their eyes block cold eyes, search behind my shadow. See, the expressions and the images that are used in the poem, they bring in many ideas into our minds. For example, look at that. Laugh with their teeth, an artificial way of laughing. You laugh wholeheartedly from within, and that laughter brings you goodness to yourself and also happiness to the other persons. But when you have an artificial laugh, it strains your muscles. See? That's why the poet says, while their eyes block cold eyes. What does it mean? When you laugh genuinely, you will have a lot of warmth in your eyes. But here the poet says, eyes block cold eyes. It is an expression which we can relate with a dead body. So the people have become so deadly, and they have become so lifeless, and that's why the poet, with a lot of regrets, he says, while their eyes block cold eyes, search behind my shadow. Shadow is something which is behind you, not in front of you. That's why the poet says, behind me. Why is that? The people are not looking at the person but about his background. So the shadow has a connotative meaning. In other words, it has got some hidden meaning. So the poet says, with their eyes blocked, cold eyes, search behind my shadow. It means that they are not concerned about the person but about his background. Let's move on to the next stanza. Before that, I kept one phrase next to the stanza. Honesty is so rare nowadays. And that's what being expressed in this first stanza. Let's move on. Second stanza. There was a time. Again, was is used. It refers again to the past time. There was a time, indeed, they used to shake hands with their hearts. But that's gone, son. Now they shake hands without hearts, while their left hand search my empty pockets. As I read out the poem, the second stanza of the poem, I hope you might have visualized the way people greet each other. When you want to greet a person with a lot of feeling and warmth, and that is expressed in your shake hand. For example, there used to be a poet called Kelly and also Shelley, John Keats and Shelley. When Shelley shook hands with John Keats, you know what did he say? He felt death in the hands of John Keats. So shake hand is something which tells your feelings. So the poet in this stanza expresses, they used to shake hands with their hearts. When you shake hands with the other person, automatically you understand the feelings of the other person. You cannot hide. That's why we speak about body language at length in your training classes in JKCs and classrooms. Body has its own language. It expresses all your inner feelings. Even though you try to hide and pretend, it is not possible. So consciously, unconsciously, you express your inner feelings. So they used to shake hands with their hearts, but that's gone, son. Now they shake hands with their hearts, while their left hands search my empty pockets. Now, you know what is happening? People are searching the pockets. The poet says his pockets are empty already. Why is it so? He has been deprived or stripped off his own riches or culture or whatever it is, his possessions. We know what it is, but the poet refers to empty pockets. Pockets, it refers to the place where you keep your precious things or your money for that matter, as you know very well today. The poet is not referring to money at all, but much more than that. So the people are not searching for the person, but for something more. They want to earn something. They want to get a benefit when they meet the other person. So the attitudes are changing and the persons are changing in course of time. That's why the metaphor shake hands without hearts contradicts with the previous or the past times. And so the poet is bringing in the difference between the past and the present. People are changing, their attitudes are changing, and as well the times and the people, there is a change. Let's move on. Now we come to the third stanza. People often say, feel at home. And the poet, he says that feel at home, come again. They say, and when I come again and feel at home, once, twice, there will be no thrice. For then I find doors shut on me. Maybe out of respect to the other person, you invite them. If there is no genuine love or affection towards the other person, you can invite them and bear their presence for some time. But afterwards, you become so uncomfortable in the presence of the other persons. So the poet says, he refers and he quotes the words of other people. Feel at home, come again. These are the words not from within, but from the lips. They say, and when I come again and feel at home, once, twice, there will be no thrice. What does it mean? The poet is someone who takes the words on their face value. He believes in the people. But you know what happens? The people are not like that. They are not genuine. They do not have this type of attitude. So they try to be a type of diplomatic in their attitude and hypocritical, and they speak with their mouth nice words or sweet quoted words. Feel at home, come again. They say, but when I come again and feel at home once, twice, there will be no thrice. So he was accepted maybe twice. When he came the third time, he was not accepted. It means that their affection or their love is short-lived. So that's why the poet ends the poem or the stanza with the sentence, for then I find doors shut on me. It means that he is no more welcome in their houses. House, it is not the house, but actually it is home. Home is a place where you have your own affections exchanged among the people or the inmates. Even guests are received with a lot of warmth and affection, and they get refreshed when they come to your house. If it is a house with genuine feelings and affection towards the other people, if it is a hospitable house, definitely people, they love to visit your house and stay with you. Of course, not that they are going to stay with you forever, but they get refreshed when they visit the house of or the home of a family which has genuine feelings and affection towards the other people. I move on. The fourth stanza. Once upon a time, that is the title once again. So I have learned many things, son. I have learned to wear many faces, like dresses: home face, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles like a fixed portrait smile. What is this? In this stanza, the poet brings in the different shades of his own personality. The poet has grown older, and now he has become so experienced, and he has got a lot of exposure to the outer world. Now the poet has got lot of what we call strategic and diplomatic behavior in his own life. That's why he says, so I have learned. Now he comes to the present time. So far he was speaking about I was and they were, likewise. They used to be once upon a time. But now he comes to the present time, to his own self, and he says, so I have learned many things, son. What are those many things that he has picked up? Let us see. I have learned to wear many faces, like dresses. So the poet has also picked up the worldly wisdom of changing faces. What does it mean? Face is the index of mind, we say. So your face is not just the face, the physical face, but it is the inward personality. That's why here the poet says he started changing or putting on different faces, like the dress that you put on, like dresses. What are those different faces? Home face, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face. What are these different faces? Does it mean that you have different faces at different places? No. It is the change in your own personality. At home, you are a person known by everyone in your house. You are a familiar person. You cannot pretend with your own the family members. So the home face is something which is genuine. But there are some people who pretend and who are hypocritical even at home. That is really a pity. And then comes to the office face. Of course, you cannot behave in the same manner at different places. You have to behave yourself depending on the place and also the people. But the poet is trying to say the hypocritical attitude of the people, and he also picked up those attitudes, and that's why he's introspecting and he's expressing his own self. Office face and street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles. The poet is trying to conform or adjust or adapt himself with the customs and practices of the society. And he's trying to change himself according to the people with whom he is associated. So that's why he says cocktail face, Whenever he has a party, he has a different face, means different attitude and different person. With all their conforming smiles, they have artificial smiles which are already expressed in the previous stanzas. Like a fixed portrait smile. When you want to take a portrait or a passport size photograph, you fix a smile on your face. It is just for the sake of camera that you smile. It's not a genuine smile. So the poet has become so artificial, and he says, like a fixed portrait smile. It is not something natural which comes from within, but it is something artificial which you get and fix on your face. That's what the poet says. Let's move on. The fifth stanza. And I have learned to laugh with only my teeth and shake hands without my heart. I have also learned to say goodbye when I mean good riddance, to say glad to meet you without being glad, and to say it's been nice talking to you after being bored. Here in this stanza, once again, there are many contrasting expressions. For example, and I have learned to laugh with only my teeth. What does it mean, laughing with teeth and laughing with heart? When you laugh with your heart and the whole face has a lot of expression. But when you want to have an artificial laugh, it's only an exhibition of your teeth. I hope you know very well how you can laugh with your teeth. Not that we can laugh with our teeth, but it is an expression of artificial smile. And shake hands without my heart. The poet is also conforming himself with the practices of the society. So there is a lot of disappointment, lot of introspection, and the poet is regretting over the change. I have also learned to say goodbye when I mean good riddance. Good riddance. What does it mean? Sometimes you cannot bear the presence of some people, especially when you give a send-off at railway station or a bus stand. You want to see off the people for courtesy, just for sake of courtesy. You go to the railway station and you see them off. But when you have to wait for a long time, you know how you feel like? You feel like getting rid of the people, but still you cannot say that. So you hide your feelings and you try to behave in a different way. When you want to say goodbye, when you want to say good riddance, you say goodbye, suppressing and hiding all your inner feelings. To say glad to meet you without being glad. These are all what we call social practices. Whenever you meet someone for the first time, you say glad to meet you. Actually, even if you are not glad enough to meet that particular person, just for the sake of courtesy and formality, you say glad to meet you. So this is a type of hypocrisy that the poet has been expressing. And to say it's been nice talking to you after being bored. You talk with some people, you may not enjoy their talk, but still at the end of the talk, you are forced to say it's been nice talking to you. Let's move on. The sixth stanza. But believe me, son, I want to be what I used to be. When I was like you, I want to unlearn all these muting things. Most of all, I want to learn how to laugh. For my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth, like a snake's bare fangs. See, the stanza starts with but believe me, son. The poet is trying to be truthful. The poet is speaking with his own son. He is so humble to be expressive of his own feelings, inner feelings. Believe me, son, I want to be what I used to be. There is a strong desire within the poet's heart to be his own self, to be genuine in his own life, to be upright. When I was like you, he's referring to his own childhood days. And then he used to be an honest person, a genuine person, an innocent person, like his own son who is standing in front of him. So the poet, while addressing the son, he is expressing his own feelings. I want to unlearn. I stop there. The word unlearn is very important. Learning something in life is important, and more important is unlearning. Why is it so? Sometimes as you learn many things, you pick up many negative things which have a negative impact on your life. You, the viewers, I tell you very directly with a lot of concern that we have to unlearn sometimes. If there is something negative in your character or in your life, you have to unlearn. You have to get rid of that unwanted practice or unwanted habit, whatever it is in your life. You have to unlearn and start relearning. I want to unlearn all these muting things. Most of all, I want to relearn. Unlearn something and relearn something. If you do not have this type of practice in your life as students, you will end up as a failure. If you want to be successful, if you want to be honest, and if you want to be a leader in your life, you should practice these two aspects. One is unlearn, the other one is relearn. Unlearning is getting rid of unwanted things or negative things in your life. Relearning, suppose you are lacking something in your life, some knowledge or some practices or some good habits, so you have to relearn. So this practice must be there in human life. Unless you have this type of practice, you cannot continue as a successful individual in your life. Let's move on. Most of all, I want to relearn. What is that he wants to relearn? How to laugh. For my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth, like snakes bear fangs. There should be apostrophe at snakes. Most of all, I want to relearn how to laugh. The poet has gone too far in his life. Having gone too far, now he introspects. Now he craves with a strong desire to relearn what he has got lost in his own life. What is that? How to laugh. Laugh from within, laugh with his own heart. But now the poet, as he has expressed in his previous stanza, he laughs with his own teeth. Now he says he wants to relearn how to laugh. And he says, for my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth. The poet is standing in front of the mirror. Mirror is something which is inevitable in human life. Every morning you stand in front of your own mirror and you look at your outward appearance. But the poet is not looking at the outward appearance, the physical appearance, but the poet is looking at his own inward appearance, an inward person. And that's why he says, and his teeth are like the fangs of snakes. What does it mean? How can it be? The artificial life, the hypocritical attitude in human life is as dangerous and as venomous as a snake is. My dear viewers, the poem is something which teaches you many soft skills. Soft skills teach you not to be hypocritical, not to be bombastic in your words or artificial in your behavior, but to be genuine and also acceptable to the other people. If you read this lesson or this poem for yourself, and definitely you are going to learn many important lessons which are very helpful in your personal lives. Look at that last part of the stanza. How to laugh? For my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth, like a snake's bare fangs. Fangs, I hope you know very well. A cobra, when it bites with its fangs. And the person who is bitten by a snake, he dies of that venom. So the artificial life leads to a type of a fatal destiny, not only to yourself, but also to the other people. That's why honesty in human life is so important. One must have that genuine attitude towards himself and also towards the other people in the society. Then only the society becomes a home to all of us. Let's move on to the next stanza, almost the last stanza. Once upon a time, so show me, son, how to laugh. The poet is here so humble. He's so humble. He's pleading with his own son. he's requesting, in one way I can say, he's begging his own son to teach him. Can you be so ready to learn in your life? Very often, we do not grow up in our lives just because we are not ready to learn. We have got many inhibitions. We don't want to learn from others. And that's why in our classrooms we say peer learning. A student can learn very easily from his own classmates or her own classmates. Sometimes you are a bit hesitant to ask your own teachers, but you should be ready to learn from any person, maybe from your teachers or from your classmates or seniors or juniors. When you have to learn something very important, don't hesitate. You try to be ready to learn. And when you are ready to learn, it is a symptom of your growth in your life. The poet who has got that strong desire to unlearn the negative things and to relearn the positive things, now he has humbled himself and now he is coming down to the level of his son and requesting his son to teach him. What does he say? So, show me, son, how to laugh. The child is an innocent child. The child is still not exposed to the worldly maladies or the evils of the society. The child is so pure. That's why the poet requesting his son to show him how to laugh, the genuine laugh, how to laugh. Show me how I used to laugh and smile once upon a time when I was like you. The poet is concluding the poem with the words with which he started the poem. Look at that, the last line, once upon a time when I was like you. Dear viewers, the poem begins with once upon a time and ends with once upon a time. So it's always important in our lives to look back and examine our own selves, what you call introspection, and assessing our own personality. If you are not doing it, you will go on committing mistakes and you feel that you are going in a right path. But if you want to succeed in your life, you should have an attitude of introspecting and also examining and analyzing your own self. For example, when you write your resume, this is what you do. You conduct a SWOT analysis and you write your strengths, you write your weaknesses, and you also write your opportunities, and you also write down your own challenges. Unless you conduct an analysis like this, you cannot prepare your own resume. Here the poet is someone who is writing a resume. Of course, the poet is not writing something for his career, but for his own life, to be a genuine person, to be an honest person in his own life. So he's coming down to the level of his son without any inhibitions or any ego problems. He requests his son to teach him how to laugh. My dear viewers, see, the poet is so humble in his life and now he is ready to learn. If you can learn something in your life, it's always better late than never. You can have that attitude. If you want to change your life and ready, you have to be ready to learn. And the poet asks him, so show me, son, how to laugh. Show me how I used to laugh. The poet is also requesting his son to bring back those days of his childhood. So in other words, we have to see the child is sitting or standing in front of the poet. The poet is looking himself in the person of his son, and that's why he's recollecting those days of his early childhood. I used to laugh. That's what he says. He used to laugh in those days. It was a genuine laugh, and it's a type of innocent laughter, I have to say. I used to laugh and smile once upon a time when I was like you. But now the poet is no more like that child. He has grown older, not only physically, but even in his inner self. That's why he compares himself with his child and says, once upon a time when I was like you. Every adult is like a child once upon a time. But you know what happens? As you grew older and older, you pick up the worldly maladies and also the evils of the society, and you lose your innocence. And that's why William Blake, one of the famous poets, he wrote a volume of poems songs of innocence and songs of experience. There he brings in the two worlds together and he contrasts both the worlds. You need not go to that volume to understand that. You look at the outer world, how children behave and how adults behave. Children, they say whatever they want to say, but adults, they say something with their lips and they have something else within their hearts, and they laugh with their lips and they frown with their forehead. You know all these contrasting expressions and behaviors in the society. And now the parenthood of the poet has also given him an experience or an opportunity to learn from his own children or the son, as it is mentioned in the poem. See, all parents, when they bring up their children, they look their own selves in the lives of their children. So parents learn from children, and children learn from the parents. Likewise, even in your institutions, teachers or the lecturers, when they teach, they also learn from their students. And students, they also learn from their teachers. So learning is something very important. If you want to grow in your life, you should be ready to learn. And my dear viewers, with these few words, I move on to my next presentation on various expressions used in this poem, the past expressions. And we will discuss the past tense and also the past expressions in the light of this poem. I thank you so much. Hello viewers, welcome back. Now we are going to discuss one of the important aspects of the tenses. We are going to discuss the simple past tense or the past simple. You can call it any way, whatever you like. And the moment we say tenses, it relates itself to the action words and also the time. So now we are going to speak on the past tense, because so far we have discussed the poem Once Upon a Time, which has a lot of past expressions. So before we discuss the tense as it is, I want you to understand the verb, different types of verb conjugations. When it comes to verb conjugation or the change of verb in relation to the time, you have got regular verbs and also irregular verbs. First of all, let's look at the irregular verbs. What are they? When you have the conjugation or the change of verb forms depending on the tense, and some verbs they change in a regular way and some verbs they change in an irregular way. And now let's look at the irregular verbs and how they change. I'll show you one or two words to understand the difference. Look at the slide. The word you take run, the word run, look at run. I hope it's a familiar word to all of you and I need not explain in detail. And how this word run changes, look at that. In present tense it is run, in the past tense it is ran, and again the past participle run. So the word does not have, this verb does not have a regular form of changes. It changes irregularly, and there are many verbs like that. Can you guess or can you remember some words like this which have got different conjugation like this? Try to recollect some words and write down in your notes. Let's move on. Let's look at some regular verbs as well. Regular verbs usually they take their past forms with ed. Look at the word on the screen. You take the word walk. The word walk, it changes by taking ed. The present form is walk and the past form is walked and the past participle is walked. So those words are the verbs which change in a regular form by taking ed. We call them regular verbs. So when you want to understand the past tense, you must keep these two important rules in your mind. So there are irregular verbs like run, like give, eat, etc. And they have different conjugations. For example, you take the word give, give, gave, given. You might have studied all these words long time ago in your earlier classes, but still I remind you, it's like a reminder. I want you to recollect all these expressions, and so you can correct your grammar and expressions. And regular verbs are those which take ed to form different forms like past tense and past participle. You take the word walk and the past form is walked and the past participle is walked again. Okay, so let's move on. And you can also have many words like this. Can you give me some more examples for these regular verbs? Can you try? Can you write down in your notebooks? Look at any word for that matter, like work. Work. Can you write down the conjugation for work? Yeah. I hope you know very well, but I want you to remember these differences and follow while writing your sentences. Let's move on. And look at that picture, and you can identify the action in that picture. The person, he is running. Okay, but I want you to write down some sentences looking at that picture and using this particular action word. And I have already given conjugation to this word run, so you can write different sentences using this particular action word run. This verb has, as I told you, can you repeat what is the conjugation of this action word? Run, next ran, and then again run. So you can write sentences in past tense. You can also write sentences in present tense. You can also write sentences in future tense. Anyway, I'm going to discuss these helping verbs and be forms and all these in course of time in the program. And let's look at the word play. Can you give me the conjugation of this word play, and what type of verb is this? Is it a regular verb or an irregular verb? Play. Do you play cricket every day? Yeah. Yesterday you might have played cricket. So the past tense of play is played. Okay, you know very well. So you can also write some sentences using the word play, the action word play, and you can write your past expressions, present expressions, and also future expressions. And come to the word give. And what are different forms of give? Can you write down some sentences on your own? Give, gave, given. Do you write down? Give, gave, given. So this is also an irregular verb. Give, gave, given. There is no uniform change in the conjugation of this verb. And let's come to this word again. Bring. Is it regular or irregular? I want to hear your voice. Bring. I hope no one can say bring. This is not a regular verb to have ed for this past expression. So it is an irregular verb, so it becomes bring and then brought and also brought. And you can also write some sentences using the word bring. Now we move on to some expressions which are used in the poem Once Upon a Time. The expression once upon a time also refers to the past time. You can also use many words like this. I'm going to show you on the screen, but before that I would like to tell you all these are time indicators, let us say. I'm not going to use grammar words. I don't want to confuse you with a lot of jargon, but the word once upon a time is a time indicator. So whenever you find a time indicator, and the time indicator tells you what tense you should use in your expressions, in your oral expressions as well as in written communication. So once upon a time, what is the tense that we have to use with this? Yeah, exactly. It is in the past. Okay, it refers to the past time. So the poem Once Upon a Time, all the time the poet was referring to the past time. That's why in the beginning, also in the end, the poet used once upon a time, referring to his early childhood. So you can also say, those who are in your degree second year classes, you can say once upon a time or once upon a time in my childhood. Likewise, you can refer to your past time and you can use past expressions. Let's move on to the next slide. You can write some more sentences using once upon a time. Now we move on to the next expression, used to. Used to also refers to your past habits. I used to drink milk, but I do not drink milk now. So used to always refers to past habits which are discontinued almost. Okay. So even in the poem, the poet used to say, I used to laugh with my teeth. Okay. So the poet has made many expressions like that. Used to, used to, used to. But used to always refers to your discontinued past expressions. Okay. Another time indicator of a past time. Let's move on. I request you to write some more sentences using used to. From your poem, you can identify some sentences you can write on your own, or at least you can also read some stories and write down some expressions. Now we move on to the next slide, another time indicator, ago. Some time ago, long time ago. Likewise, we use the expression ago. The word ago, whenever you come across the word, it always refers to the past time. Let's move on. And then you have got a very familiar one and the most important one, yesterday. The word Esther always refers to the past. Yesterday or yesteryears, we also use some expressions like that. So whenever you have got these past time indicators, we have to use the past tense, usually the simple past tense. I'm not going to the remaining tenses. It is not possible within the limited time. That's why we are looking at the past simple or the simple past tense. So far we have looked at a few time indicators of past time. For example, once upon a time, and ago, yesterday, and also used to, all these expressions. Let's move on. And one more expression like that is last. It is not lost, it is last. You can have many what we call additions to this word last. Last night, last year, last month, go on like that. So the word last also refers to your past time. Whenever you come across these past time indicators, we have to use a simple past tense. Now we come to some auxiliary verbs which help us in forming this past tense. Look at the words was and were are different forms of be. I have not given in detail, but you can write your own sentences using these expressions. I was a boy. You can say in your 10th class, but now you cannot say you are a boy, you are a young man. So they were here, you can say. So you have got singular be form was and also plural be form were. So whenever you express your past actions, you can use these be forms. Of course, be also has different forms. We are not discussing those forms because the present tense, in the present tense you have got is, am, are. Okay. Of course, in the past tense, was for singular nouns and were for plural nouns. Okay. And then coming to did. Suppose you want to express some negative expressions or some questions, you may have to use did as the past form of do. Okay. So these are helpful verbs and verb forms which you can use in your daily expression. So we discussed Once Upon a Time poem, in which you have got many expressions expressing the past habits and also the past practices. And for example, we discussed once upon a time, and then last, and then ago, and we also discussed a few more time indicators. I want you to remember all these time indicators. Whenever you find a past time indicator, automatically we have to identify that particular sentence as past tense. Whenever you want to express a past time, we have to use past time indicators. Without these past time indicators, you may get confused while writing or speaking. So I want you to follow the past tense by using these past be forms like was, were. Was for singular, were for plural. And time indicators as expressed in our poem Once Upon a Time by Gabriel, Okara. And you can write some sentences using these be forms. I thank you very much for patiently watching this program.